Hey everyone, have I here bring a video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. In this video, we're going to be discussing the arrival of the Dokkan Festival exclusive physical Rosé and figure out if he's actually better than he was when he came out on Global first than he is now coming out on JP. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So of course, this announcement came out last night. This is a holiday weekend for me, so I went on a trip. I'm recording this video now. I know I'm way behind, but I just want to give you my thoughts and share if, for JP players, that is, if you really should be thinking about trying to capture this unit and try to summon for this unit right before Tanabata. The short answer is probably going to be no, but just to understand the reason why and how much better this unit actually is on JP now when it arrived on Global back in the end of February, or basically the after 9-year anniversary for JP, or what we ended up experiencing was a global first for Rosé. So before we dive into that, let's just like the teams and things of that nature, just quickly go over the unit in of itself, right? So first and foremost, it's a physical unit. Its stats isn't all that impressive, under 16,000 on HP and attack, and then defense, 13,345 is pretty good for defense. However, the kit is a little bit less than be desired, especially the leader skill. The leader skill house designed super bosses, which you would think, hey, super bosses seem like it should be really good since superheroes is incredibly good. Super bosses could be high up there, but they needed to team up with other categories versus like corroded body and mind, which isn't very strong. And then the limitation, which I'm going to be talking about in the passive skill here, really hamstrings Rosé from really being on other teams as well. But its super boss is corroded body mind 170%, and then the 30% boost for 200% is Realm of Gods, Accelerated Battle, and Exploding Rage. The super attack is very mediocre, given that the design is you're hoping doing a lot of attacks and possibly having multiple super attacks arise. So it would have been nice to see kind of like maybe a mini stack or just stack in of itself. That would have made this unit just way more valuable, way more viable in today's meta, but it just raises attack defense for one turn, causes immense damage to the enemy, doesn't even reduce anything, reduce attack or anything of that nature. But here's how the passive skill works, right? It has this guard against all attacks for one turn from the character's entry turn. This is actually more beneficial than you think, especially in the red zone for Kid Buu, right? This being a physical unit, right? Kid Buu is a STR unit right away. He's going to need that guarding ability because he's going to be damaged, disadvantaged, and he would just get absolutely wrecked. So having that for one turn is great. And Kid Buu being only 2 turns, you should be able to circumvent the STR Kid Buu. So that's actually beneficial. On Global, when it came out, it wasn't as valuable for like end game stuff, but in this case, it actually works well for Kid Buu there. Key +2 attack defense, 200%, which is very strong. Here's where it gets, again, a little bit restricted. I would say a little bit, a lot restricted. Reduces damage by 6% for every super boss's category ally on the team up to 30%. So if you have a full team of super bosses, you'll get 30% damage mitigation. Again, 30% isn't all that high. Would have loved to see a little bit higher, and you don't have to run a full super bosses team. That would have opened this team a little bit more to have a little bit of flexibility. But there's like, hey, you know what? If you're gonna run this unit, you gotta have a full super bosses team. Like, well, then why have multiple options here to run certain characters, right? So this is probably the one that a lot of people had issues with, is plus additional damage reduction by 30% before attacking. So if this is running in first position, you're gonna have 60% damage mitigation, which is actually extremely strong, but you do lose that. Now, how they make that up is all this stuff right here. So launches additional attack that has per key sphere obtained, or rainbow key sphere obtained. So that's one benefit of doing an additional attack. Launches additional attack, has a high chance of becoming super attack. That's automatic. Launches additional attack, additional super attack with every character's attack 5 times in the battle. So if you're able to do 3 rainbow key spheres, then you do your normal attack, and then you have this additional attack here. You should be able. This should be a guaranteed super attack. That's why you're able to, at least boost up a couple here on raises attack and defense, and then this, because you lose this damage mitigation, you're going to get boosted up in stats after you attack. Depending on how many attacks you perform, you get an additional attack and defense up 30%. So you're going to do quite a bit of damage, and then that defensive stat should go up. However, if you're not guarding and you're only getting 30% damage mitigation, you might find yourself in a sticky situation sometimes. So you do have to watch out for that. But again, with Kid Buu, right? So if we're just looking at Kid Buu here, he is int after the first 2 turns. So he will have damage advantage, right? He'll have advantage there and guarding ability there. So he should do fine against the end game here. Now, in other fights, mind you, Rose doesn't do all that great, but in this fight, he's actually, you know, set up okay. So super bosses category allies key +2 within the same turn after receiving an attack. So again, in first position, all your other characters will get a key +2, and then great chance of nullifying key blast attacks directed at the character. Oh, and by the way, guess what? There, hey, Kid Buu does a Key Blast super attack in that STR, so you'll have a. So let's say, I don't know, you for some reason you get any rainbow orbs, and you end up not getting a lot of boost there. At least you got the guard, but then you also have the opportunity to just totally nullify that blast attack and go into the int stage, which you will have high advantage there. So set up better useful than it was on global when he came out, because on global you're like, okay, why is this unit even out right now? You can't even build a really super strong team. It's okay, it's actually a decent fun team to run, but it's gonna be all Zamasus on global. On JP you do have Broly, which we'll talk about, because there is some issues with the Broly and Rose on the same, namely the active skill here, which is a cloning condition which creates the domain. You can only have one domain going, and when things are going in the domain, you can't really do other things. So it's it would have been nice to stack domains. That would be very, very interesting if they end up actually doing that in the future, because then this would make this unit a lot more beneficial, especially if you have a Broly that has its own domain as well. So it creates domain, city, future, time, rift, and time. Raises super bosses categorized by 2. The characters clone for 2 turns. Can be activated with all types super bosses starting on the 4th turn. So when everybody's on the team is super bosses, so 4th turn you can go ahead and do that, or from the 6th turn once only. And when you change into the cloning condition, you can argue he gets better, or you can kind of sometimes argue he can get worse, due to the fact that he does lose this right here. We'll see this in a second, where it reduces the damage mitigation by 6% up to 30%. You lose that, but you gain it in another spot. So link skills, solid link skill, because again you're running all Zamasus. You're going to be just fine. And then categories, it's super bosses, and any characters that are super bosses in other categories, then this unit could be fairly useful. Now when you use active skill, you clone up here, you lose that 30%, but you do reduces damage by 66% before attacking. So in first position you should be doing quite well. I think this unit is going to do quite well against Kid Buu, and I think that's fine, right? I think that's how it's designed. I don't know why it's designed for Kid Buu, but it kind of is, right? So in first position, you're going to be just fine. However, if you don't do enough attacks, right, that's going to go away, and this boosts right here 33%. I don't think 33% is enough for the additional boost here, because you do orb change, which is really, really nice, really beneficial. And then you have that rare chance of becoming a super attack with per key sphere obtained, but you're going to get an additional attack no matter what. So you're going to have another additional attack with a great chance, and then this whole 5 times thing, you should get another super attack off, which at least this boosts up to greatly raises attack and defense and greatly lowers defense, which is at least something. Great lowers attack would have been a lot more beneficial. And then this domain over here, 20% to super bosses and extreme class, very strong. So if you're able to stack, more viable, more beneficial. But as it right now, again, is he better than when he was introducing global. Sure, there are some scenarios, especially the Kibu scenario here, where he can fit okay. But I think overall, when you're building a team, right? So this was the team on global when you started out. And on global, when you started this out, it's a fun team. This is a Masu team, right? But it's fun basically only if you love Zamasu, right? So on JP, it is an upgrade, right? However, I did kind of put him in second, as a floater position because these rotations look better in first position. But now, you lose that 30% damage mitigation in first position, so you're only relying on the boost, right? But if you do want to run a first position, you'll just look something like this. The problem here is just, again, there's not too many super bosses that's viable. They really have like no support really units. You have the Easy A to Kefla, which is going to happen in part 2. I just put her on here anyway. You can put another Zamasu, of course, on the team versus Easy A Kefla. Topo, right? Topo is a super boss, but much like Rose, Topo is bounded to his team, right? Special Pose and Defenders of Justice. Not really, though. You only just need a few on his team versus this. You really just want to have all 5. So again, ultimately, again, is he better? Sure, slightly, because the team is better. But are you going to be using him? Another way of looking at it is, if you had Broly, are you going to be running Rose team? No, right? The Easy A to Broly is really nice. Global doesn't even have that yet. So yeah, the team is, I would say, much better. But if you have Broly, you're going to run a Broly team, right? If you have Topo, you're going to run on a Topo team. If they Easy Aid, here's the cool thing. If they Easy Aid Jiren, if we had another Defender of Justice or Special Pose, that's a super boss, then you could put him on this team here and then be okay with Topo, and then Topo could be beneficial over here. Just kind of thinking in the future, if they they do something like that, it could be overall beneficial. But anyway, that's kind of what I have here. Again, is he better? Slightly. Is he worth your Dragon Stones? Probably not. If you're a Zamasu fan, you really want him, sure, on JP. But expect him to be on another banner, or especially get him in New Year's. How about that? For JP players out there, get this unit in New Year's. Save your Dragon Stones for Tanabata and the merge and all that good stuff. But again, hey, it's up to you. It's your Dragon Stones. But yes, he is coming on JP. Get ready. And if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching. Keep on Dokkaning. We'll catch you next time. Later.